What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Mayhem. I'm your boy Chris, and super excited to be back with you another week to bring you some more stories, news, all that good stuff. Only a couple this week, actually. Going to be a very, very short show, filling the week mostly with this and some reactions. Very excited about something that I've got in the pipeline. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But first of all, I do want to thank our new subscribers. I know just a couple of weeks ago, I was like, hey, we're pretty close to 50. Maybe we can hit 50. And next thing I know, we hit 50 before the video even went up. So just want to thank you guys for jumping in and jumping on the bandwagon here with the Morning Mayhem and Mayhem reactions. If you've been watching those, I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching, whatever it is that you're watching on the channel. And we're really close to 100. We're really, really close to 100. That being said, we may be hitting 100 here any moment now. And my birthday is Monday, June 3rd. I will be hitting the big 40 this year. I will be turning 40. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Too sexy to be 40. But hey, you know what? There's a lot of sexy 40-year-olds out there. Am I right? Huh? Anyways, hitting the big 40 this Monday, instead of going out and getting that Corvette like some of you were thinking about doing for me, which I appreciate. I really do. If you hadn't already, consider hitting that subscribe button. That would be a wonderful gift. And let's see if we can't get to 100 on YouTube here, 100 subscribers by Monday the 3rd. My 40th birthday. I would consider that a birthday gift, and I would thank you very much for that. And not only that, but we stream on these other platforms too. The other big one, of course, being the green giant right there. And links for all these channels are in the description below. But I think I am looking at almost 25 followers there, which is significant for that platform. They're not obviously as large as YouTube is. So, you know, percentage wise, that's pretty good comparatively to what I'm running on YouTube here. So if you are watching over on Rumble, consider giving a follow if you hadn't already there. Would love to hit 100 subscribers on YouTube by Monday and 25 followers on Rumble by Monday, if at all possible. Again, I'll consider it a personal birthday gift and I would appreciate it. No need for the Corvette, unless you want to do that on top of the subscription. I'm cool with that too. But guys, thank you all so much for watching and tuning in. And, you know, it really helps me out, helps out a broke news reader, reaction dude, you know, whatever I am. So thank you guys for that so much. Let's talk about this week's rundown. Do you guys remember the unfortunate school shooting over in Uvalde, Texas? So it was terrible. It was absolutely a tragedy. And now the parents are suing Call of Duty, Meta, Daniel Defense, and, you know, whoever else, maybe more. I don't know. We're going to get into that a little bit. A new documentary is out featuring the tales of Godsmack frontman Sully Erna. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole episode. That's all we're going to do today. So like I said, it's going to be a short one. I will have some more. I think they're all going to be music reaction videos coming out. I don't think I've got any trailers. I think it's all going to be music reaction videos, some of which are suggestions from the folks in the comments section. They've been checking it out. And if you do have suggestions for those, definitely leave them in the comments, shoot me a message on Twitter or whatever it is, you know, the platform that you're on. And if it kind of fits where I'm at, you know, I'll try to work those in as much as possible. But yeah, so a short episode this week. Why so short? First, I am finishing up that videography project that I had a couple of weeks ago. I had to stop working on it because we continued filming our short film this past weekend and got some incredible shots. When I'm looking around, I'm seeing grown men with tears in their eyes. I know we're getting good stuff. So I really want to start working on that, but I can't do it till I'm get done with this other project. So trying to go ahead and knock that out as quickly as possible so I can move on and start touching that footage and playing with that footage. I'm like super excited about that. But last and definitely not least is I have the privilege of speaking with Jacob Airey from Studio Jake Media, and host of a vidcast on YouTube, Rumble, Locals, you name it. Both this week and next week, I'll have a list of his socials down in the notes below, and you're going to want to come back for that one. We are going to record our interview this week, and that will go into the show next week. So come back for that. Check that out. Jacob Airey, again, I will have his social links down below in the show notes. Definitely go check him out. He is somebody to follow. He covers some similar topics, doesn't really hit on the politics stuff, but instead of politics, he'll discuss faith. So he talks a lot about pop culture, films, the comics and stuff like that. And then he also talks about faith, which is something we're going to talk about next week, actually. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that one and come back for it. So with that said, let's get to it. First up, I want to say for many of you, you may be here from the Mayhem reactions. You may have seen the reaction videos that I've been doing, and I thank you for tuning in to check out what the Morning Mayhem is all about. So if you're new here from those, welcome. That said, I've started doing reaction videos to movies, TV show trailers, most recently music videos. If you're into that kind of thing, I've got more on the way, so check those out. So this story may act a little bit of as like a bridge between some of the music that I've been doing lately and the reactions to that to more of these stories that I cover on a regular basis. So jumping into this is from Bounding Into Comics. Great source. Again, for those of you again that are new, all my sources are always going to be listed below. A lot of the folks that I do mention over the course of the show, I'm going to have their socials and pages and stuff like that listed below as well, so you can always check those out. I'm not getting into anything too heavy this week, but I always like the fact that you guys can go behind me and fact check out my sources, make sure I'm not just lying to you. I do significantly more research and have more transparency than a lot of mainstream media. So I just want you to be aware that I'm not, while I do have my own bias, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, let you get to your own understanding of things, even if it's different than my own. I'm all about it. Just want to be the gateway into the information world for some stuff. Anyways, getting into the first story here. This is from Bounding Into Comics. I Stand Alone, the Sully Erna story review, a rockumentary that knows its audience. So before we get into it, there's Sully right there. First of all, Godsmack's been around for quite a while. I've seen these guys in concert twice. I think just twice. I've seen him in concert twice. The first time I saw him was the first time I saw Metallica, and they absolutely blew me away. I was probably 10 or 12 feet from the stage, I'd say, and the stage was in the center of the arena, and when Metallica played, the whole stage like rotated very, very slowly. So if James started here, as he rotated around the show, he kind of ended up back in front of you. It was really, really cool. Godsmack came out and they just blew the roof off. I mean, I was so blown away. I was already a fan of Godsmack, already liked them, but they were phenomenal in concert. Absolutely phenomenal. Great presence, great raw talent. We're going to talk about some of Sully's background a little bit right here, but just absolutely amazing. And then the other time I saw him, which I think was the tour that inspired that You Cry Like a Bitch song or whatever, about who was that about? Nikki Sixx, I think, from Motley Crue. So I saw them on that tour when they were opening up with Theory of a Dead Man, and I don't remember who else. I don't remember catching all the openers. I do remember catching Godsmack, and they opened for Motley Crue. They were on their Dr. Feelgood anniversary tour, I want to say it was, and they put on an awesome show for being an aged band for sure. But Godsmack stole the show. Godsmack, I mean, they didn't blow Metallica off the stage because it's Metallica, but they absolutely blew Motley Crue off the stage. Did a phenomenal job. If you've never seen them in concert, or if you never listen to their music, I do highly recommend them if you're into rock. Nothing over the top metal heavy or anything like that, but just awesome grooving tunes. And it is heavy. I mean, it's pretty heavy. Vocals are great. The structure is great. I just big fan of theirs. Like them a lot, and I do recommend. Let's go ahead and get into this article from Bounding Into Comics. It says, something you should know about me is I'm a sucker for two things: rock music that slaps and obscure movies that come my way serendipitously. This is especially true for documentaries I was once unaware of that explore interesting people, music, alternative history, or the inside story of a good movie. Concerning the first two topics of interest, it doesn't have to center around the desired genre, but bands and musicians nonetheless make for some of the best human interest pieces. This is a reason Behind the Music was such a popular series, and why the public is still obsessed with Kurt Cobain and the dreaded 27 Club tragedy is compelling. I remember Behind the Music. Behind the Music was some really cool stuff. When there were artists that I was familiar with, or at least vaguely familiar with, was it Family Guy mocked the Leif Garrett one, which was an amazing, fascinating story, but I didn't grow up knowing who Leif Garrett was, but a lot of these other bands I did, and it was very cool. Very cool. Is this the trailer, I guess? So you guys can see that. All right, let's see. Let's play the trailer.
Most people spend their entire lives just trying to figure out who they want to be. Somehow, from a really young age, I just knew what I wanted to do with my life. But when you're raised in one of the most violent cities in America, like Lawrence, Mass.
Get on the ground right now!
Deadly shoot.
The body of the man found here has yet to be identified.
3 people killed overnight in Lawrence.
It's really easy to make one bad decision and either end up dead or in jail. You have to get tough real quick to survive this place.
There was a lot of areas that you just avoided, especially where we lived.
I'm going to pause it just because normally I do pause trailers and stuff like that, so I don't get any kind of copyright strikes. Don't know if I'm going to get one on this, but it was always funny to me. He when he's a singer, he's all rough and he's all into it, and you know, like British people, when they sing, a lot of times they sound American English because there's a lack of accent and dialect, unless of course you're like country or something like that. But Sully, it was funny whenever they would stop playing at the concert and they'd be in between songs, they start talking. He had that Boston accent, you know. I can't do a Boston accent. He's like, get in the car. Hey guy. It's like, it's not a whiny, but it was more of a tinny compared to a singing voice, more of a little tinny, New England kind of accent there. And it was always funny to me because it was so different than his singing voice. So I'm hearing that again in this, and it's just taking me back. It's been a while since I even thought of Godsmack, honestly.
I had next door neighbors that were rapists. I watched people get beat almost to death just for wearing the wrong colors because you weren't in their gang. As years and years developed, I got really good at being bad. I was starting to really live that lifestyle and the partying, the drinking. I just remember I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I pulled the shotgun up to this kid's face.
I started to turn my head. I hear,
and as he got close to me, I pulled the trigger. I had every challenge in the world. Thankfully, I had music in my life. And I remember thinking, everything else is going to be a hobby, and music is what I'm going to do for a living.
the music business, there's very few people that make it to the big time.
My mind was becoming my worst enemy. Through the pain I was experiencing, something really beautiful was happening.
Sully called me.
He's putting this band together and he wanted to sing.
Hey!
He's sounding like a wild goat in heat. And I went, oh my God, you're awful.
You could feel something happening.
Well, who's number one? Yeah, Godsmack. I said, well, who's Godsmack?
Sully is driven. That's what he always was and still is.
We're lucky.
What was Godsmack? Godsmack was is that an Alice in Chains song? Am I wrong? Yeah, it was an Alice in Chains song. Godsmack was an Alice in Chains song. Thank you very much. Let's see, just a little bit more. I know this is kind of a longer trailer, I guess. Didn't know it was gonna be this long. Sorry, guys.
We didn't end up dead or in jail. And music, it was just a savior for us.
As tough as it was, I wouldn't change my past for anything.
Okay. It's just pause there so something else doesn't kick in. Okay, all right. Obviously heard a lot of music, songs that a Godsmack fan would be familiar with. Let's keep rolling through here. So he kind of gives his review here of what he's seen and what he wishes he would have seen more of. I don't think there's a ton here, so I'll try to skip through it as much as possible. It says, there's also nothing better than a poignant rags to riches story. It's the American dream, all wrapped in one person who gives average people hope by telling their tale. Sully Erna, the lead vocalist of Godsmack, has a story like that with all the fixings, and it is covered in the feature documentary Standalone, based on his memoir, The Past We Choose. It aired on AXS TV on May 19th, and I gave it a watch with a piqued interest. Naturally, it's called the Sully Erna story, so the entire thing is centered on him and his journey to stardom. To make that clear, the film starts with Erna visiting a middle school in Lawrence, Massachusetts to give a motivational speech to some kids. It then shifts to talking about his upbringing in Lawrence, which was both rough and full of promise. Erna grew up showing an interest in it and a gift for music at an early age. He excelled at the drums, but as his record collection and fascination with art grew, he decided he wanted to be a rock star more than anything. One of the things that I definitely remember, and he jumps drumming. He jumps back on it here. But I remember when I saw him live both times, Sully got on the drums and like he would have a drum off with his drummer, and he was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the dude's got a voice. He can play guitar. He's got a very strong presence as a front man for sure. And as a drummer, awesome. I mean, awesome. Dude's just awesome. It says he joined bands of varying styles starting in the 80s as part of a hair metal act, and later more conventional hard rock bands before Godsmack was ever on the horizon. His calling took him down a few paths, some dark and some profitable. His life events run the gamut that checks all the usual boxes of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, trauma, and dysfunctional relationships. He dated strippers involved with the wrong people. He nearly overdosed and died. His first band was signed and fizzled out, strained relations with his father, etc. Pretty much the norm. The most vivid of these personal recollections was a party Erna attended when he was 18, bored, and the night winding down. He and his friends were ready to leave when Erna bumped into a random guy, spilled beer on him, and started trading punches with him. One thing led to another, and the fight spilled outside where one of Erna's mates showed him a shotgun he had stashed in his trunk. Out of desperation, he grabbed it, aimed it at the guy, trying to get him, and he still wasn't backing down. Anyone who's seen enough movies or true crime with adequate twists can probably guess what happened next. Erna pulled the trigger and it went click. The gun was empty precisely in case something like this happened. I figured it would end like that, but the way they told it had me second guessing myself. Erna had more stories and more fights to tell, but that one was the highlight. From there, the documentary sort of coast along the same lines as BTM and an episode of Biography. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. He's going to talk about Godsmack. If you expect the same level of drama when they get to the Godsmack portion of his life, you're going to be disappointed. They devote roughly 20 minutes, if that, to the band, and the chapter boils down to their formation. Erna taking up singing and local radio stations playing their debut album. It's by the numbers and a little too clean, which complements the wraparound motivational speech but downplays interesting aspects of Erna's life that are left hanging. So I'll just stop there. So yeah, apparently it doesn't go into a lot of the Godsmack stuff and more of just Sully's life. And that's fine. I mean, the dude seems to have a pretty interesting life, and I think a lot of artists do. So I've got no beef with it. I think that's cool. I'll probably check it out at some point. I don't usually get a whole lot of downtime to watch TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So when I do, I usually just sit down and I like binge as much as I can, because who knows when the next time I'm going to be able to sit down and watch something is. I have a movie watching night planned with my buddy Dustin to watch Late Night with the Devil, and maybe something else too. I don't know. And he wanted to put it on the calendar, and I have no idea when I can do it because the calendar is full. The calendar is full. So it's definitely something I would give a some time to invest my attention to. I do think Sully is an incredibly talented artist, incredibly talented. If you've ever seen any of his live videos or seen him live, I'm sure you think the same thing. Love him, like him, hate him or not, the dude is just full of talent. So anyways, that's that right there. He's got I Stand Alone. The Sully Erna story is out, and like I said, it was on AXS TV or whatever, Access TV. Don't know where it's at now, so I do apologize. I wish I had that information for you, but I do not. But yeah, I'm sure you can Google it or look it up on your streaming platform, and somebody's probably got it. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments below if you've already checked it out or you plan on checking it out. I'd like to hear what other people think about it. Let's move on to the next one. So before jumping into this story, I do have to give a big shout out to a good buddy of mine, Sean of Third Railify. Now, I mentioned him multiple times on the show. He's got his own channel on YouTube and Rumble, and he does live streams on his Rumble channel on Saturday nights at midnight Eastern time, called Off the Rails, for reasons that are instantly evident for anyone that tunes in. I've been on there twice and may start showing up a little bit more. I don't know. It's fun. It does go off the rails pretty quickly, and good times. And he has great guests on there and a great audience that tunes in. Just absolutely phenomenal folks that support him and tune in on a regular basis. Links to his channels are going to be in the show notes below as well. I've had him in there before. I'm just going to have to keep putting him in there because I keep talking about him. Great guy. Great. I don't want to call him a YouTuber. He's more than that. I think we're all more than that. You know, newscasters, story readers, whatever you want to say. I mean, just not necessarily content creators, I guess, but conveyors of information through video format. Anyways, go check him out. Tell him that Morning Mayhem sent you. He's a good guy. And we love him over here at the Morning Mayhem. He's been a good friend of the channel, that's for sure. Good buddy, good buddy. But I bring him up because he actually shot this story over to me, or at least the idea of what's going on. I pulled up this particular article to run through, but I want to thank him, credit him for shooting the story over to me. He kind of knows what my lane is, my niche is, I guess, for what I want to talk about. But 2 years ago, I covered a similar story about the Sandy Hook parents suing Remington because they were the makers of the gun used in that shooting. And that makes about as much sense to me as someone suing Toyota because a drunk driver ran into them and killed them, and they just happened to be driving a Tacoma, a Camry, a Corolla, or something like that. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. Go watch the video. I'll link it down in the show notes too. Go watch it from 2 years ago. It didn't make sense to me then. It doesn't make sense to me now. Speaking of now, we're going to go ahead and get into this story, which is more of the same. Again, the shooting in Uvalde, tragic, terrible, condemning it at every turn, not making light of the situation. However, the interesting twist of who can we go after and blame and get money from is something that I see far too often. In fact, let's go back here for just a second. I want to call this out, and I hope my buddy John that I make films with watches this, or anybody that was with us this past weekend. We were filming. We had permissions to film in a little convenience store, and when we're filming, the camera's pointing. I run the camera, and the camera's pointed where we want it. I go click, and I hit record. I just focus. I make sure all my settings are right, all that good stuff. Click record. We were recording in a store that we had permission to be in, and people would walk in from time to time. So I would click to stop recording. We move on with our lives. Now, some people are like, "What y'all filming? Y'all filming something for Tubi? What's going on over there? Let me holler at you." And that was cool. Everybody was cool. One woman comes in, okay, and she's like, pulls out her phone, and she's filming us. She's like, they filming me, I'm gonna film them. They film me, I'm gonna film them. Y'all put me in y'all's movie. Y'all put me in whatever. I want $1 trillion. I want like $50 billion. Y'all put me in something. Now, if you would have seen this woman, she looked like a busted tube of biscuits. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody else said that. I can't take credit for that one, but it's pretty accurate. Okay. But everyone's out to get money. Everyone's like, oh, you're filming me. I want money if you're going to use my face. Oh, well, you know, you can't talk to me in public without my permission, and I'm going to sue you. And everyone wants to just sue everybody. And it's one of the few ways that I've said that you get rich in America nowadays. You win the lottery, you inherit it, or you sue someone. We see that significantly more often than people starting their own businesses, growing their own franchises, you know, building an empire for themselves, for their friends, for their family, passing it down, you know, stuff like that. So everybody jumps on the sue bandwagon, you know, or claim to, you know, being owed monetary reimbursement for something. Trust me, nobody wanted to capture this woman on camera. I never clicked record, or did I? I don't know. I don't want to see her again. I don't want to record her, but she sure wants to get some money. That brings me back to this story and my problem. Okay. I have no problem with parents being upset about the situation. I have no problem with the parents being upset at the person who committed the crime. I don't even have a problem with them being upset about, you know, that there are games and firearm dealers and stuff out there that may have, you know, emotionally or mentally or whatever, you know, or actually physically in the sense of, you know, selling a firearm, you know, may have done this. Oh, I hate that this happened. But I don't see where you get off blaming them or suing them, and especially suing them and winning. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. The fact Sandy Hook could sue and win a lawsuit against Remington still blows my mind. That may be a bad choice of words, but you get what I'm saying. Let's check out this article. I've skimmed through it. I haven't read into the depths of it, but let's take a look at it together, shall we? This is from AP News. I know you can't tell because there's such a huge ad right here that takes up more space than anything else. But again, you know, you got to make some money where you can, right? Anyways, Uvalde family sue Meta and Call of Duty maker on second anniversary of school attack. There they are. Austin, Texas families in Uvalde took more legal action Friday on the second anniversary of the Robb Elementary School attack, suing Meta Platforms, which owns Instagram, and the maker of the video game Call of Duty over claims the companies bear responsibility for products used by the teenage gunman. So far, I'm not with you on this. They also filed another lawsuit against Daniel Defense, which manufactured the AR-style rifle used in the May 24th, 2022 shooting, and has already been sued. Okay, filed another lawsuit against them, and they've already been sued. So they've already sued them. It's ridiculous. It added to mounting lawsuits over the attack and came as the small Texas city gathered to mourn the anniversary of one of the deadliest shootings in U.S. history. The gunman killed 19 students and 2 teachers. Officers finally confronted and shot him after waiting more than an hour to enter the 4th grade classroom. See, to me, you'd have a bigger issue with the police force and who made the calls on not going in and the officers that didn't go in. How many children could have been saved if they would have went in? The fact that I heard they were stopping parents from going in. Part of me understands that because you don't want parents in there with a firearm because then you don't know who the gunman is. And the other part of me is like, I live right down the road from my child's school. If I find out they're on lockdown because there's somebody with a gun on campus, there's going to be 2 people on gun with a campus at minimum. Them and me, because I'm going to go down there and I'm going to be down there and I'm going to handle business. And I'm not waiting for the cops. So, and I'm going to breach any barrier because my baby is in there and I'm not going to leave it up to police officers that may wait more than an hour to enter the building, enter the room, whatever, and put my child or any other children at risk. I love my baby more than anything in this world. but I'm going to protect any baby. Okay? I'm going to protect your baby. If they're in my vicinity, I'm going to protect them because I love the childrens. Okay? Not in an inappropriate way. I'm not Diddy. But again, it is very tragic, and I don't want to take away from that. I'm not trying to say that. I don't want to downplay the tragicness of it. It is sad. It is very unfortunate. But I feel like we're putting the blame somewhere else in an attempt just to make some money. And I don't think that's right. Again, just based off of the information in this article, I'm not convinced that anyone should be getting money from anywhere. The only people that I see to blame so far are the officers. Now, maybe they have a good case for why they didn't. I don't know. I never heard one. But to me, that's where the majority of the blame should be, outside of the shooter himself. Continuing on. There is a direct line between the conduct of these companies and the Uvalde shooting, said Josh Koskoff, an attorney for the families. This three-headed monster knowingly exposed him to the weapon, conditioned him to see it as a tool to solve his problems, and trained him to use it. Some of the same families on Wednesday filed a $500 million lawsuit against Texas state police officials and officers who were part of the botched law enforcement response that day. More than 370 federal, state, and local officers responded, but waited more than an hour to confront the shooter inside the classroom as students and teachers lay dead, dying, or wounded. I'm going to stop right there for a second, too. I halfway agree with this one. Here's why. When they sue them and they win money from them, that money is just going to be recompensated to the police force from more taxpayer dollars, right? They're going to basically just be getting $500 million. Let's just say they win it. They're going to get $500 million out of taxpayer dollars. No one individually is being reprimanded or hurt from this necessarily. I wouldn't imagine, the way I'm understanding it. And I would say, again, this is kind of a cop-out, no pun intended there, but instead of suing and collecting that much from your own town, or from maybe it's a collective of all these, how about, trying to push to have people fired, or having people go through classes, or maybe create a specific course, and name it after, your kids, the Uvalde training course or something, I don't know. I just feel like there's better ways to accomplish what you should be trying to accomplish instead of just trying to make money. That's where I have my beef. That's where I have my issue with it. Continuing on, it says Friday's lawsuits are not the first to accuse technology companies of having a role in radicalizing or influencing mass shooters. Families of victims in a May 2022 attack on a Buffalo, New York supermarket sued social media companies, including Meta and Instagram, over content on their platforms. The lawsuit against Georgia-based gun maker Daniel Defense, I didn't even know they were here in Georgia, I have to check those guys out a little bit more, was filed in Texas by the same group of 19 families who sued on Wednesday. The lawsuit against Meta and Activision Blizzard, the maker of Call of Duty, were filed in California with additional families of victims from the attack. Activision called the Uvalde shooting horrendous and heartbreaking in every way, and we express our deepest sympathies to the families and communities who remain impacted by the senseless act of violence. Millions of people around the world enjoy video games without turning to horrific acts. Facts. A video game industry trade group also pushed back on blaming games for violence, arguing research has found no link. This was true when I was a child, and it's true now. We are sad and outraged by senseless acts of violence. At the same time, we discourage baseless accusations linking these tragedies to video gameplay, which detract from efforts to focus on the root issues in question and safeguard against future tragedies, the Entertainment Software Associate said. The amount of damages sought in the new lawsuit was not immediately clear. According to the lawsuits, the Uvalde shooter had played versions of Call of Duty since he was 15, including one that allowed him to effectively practice with the version of the rifle he used at the school. The families accused Instagram of doing little to enforce its rules that ban marketing firearms and harmful content to children. The Uvalde shooter opened an online account with Daniel Defense before his 18th birthday and purchased the rifle as soon as he could, according to the lawsuit. Simultaneously on Instagram, but what's the problem with that? Hey, I turned 18. I can buy a firearm now legally. Who cares? Again, not taking away from the tragic, the sadness and everything surrounding it, but if you're 18 and you can buy a gun, who cares? It's not Daniel Defense's fault, right? Again, back to what Activision, I think it was saying, is we're putting the blame somewhere else instead of glossing over, what is the real issue. And that was probably mom and dad. It's probably grandma and grandpa, because I think, isn't he the one that killed his grandma? Where were mom and dad? Where was the discipline, the structure? Where were the life lessons? Where was the love? Where was the, again, I'm very conservative, very right leaning on most things, but I'm someone who's also like, hey, where are we in 2024 on mental health? It's clearly become a greater issue. It's been a bigger topic, yet I feel like we haven't done more for it. Instead of actually seeking to help people with mental issues, we've begun to celebrate them. I won't get into that one in this particular segment, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Back to this. Simultaneously, on Instagram, the shooter was being courted through explicit, aggressive marketing, in addition to hundreds of images depicting and venerating the thrill of combat. Daniel Defense used Instagram to extol the illegal, murderous use of its weapons. The family's attorney said in a statement, Daniel Defense and Meta each did not immediately respond to emails requesting comment. I would love to see what they're saying, that Daniel Defense used Instagram to extol the illegal and murderous use of its weapons. I feel like that's going to be a stretch. I feel like that's somebody who's like, oh no, he shot a gun. Yeah, that's what you do with a gun. But it's illegal and murderous, I guess. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm up to finding out if I see it. But I can't imagine that would be the case, because I don't think anyone would allow an ad like that, let alone create an ad like that. In a congressional hearing in 2022, Daniel Defense CEO Marty Daniels called the Uvalde shooting and others like it pure evil and deeply disturbing. 100% agree. A separate lawsuit filed by different plaintiffs in December 2022 against local and state police, the city, and other school and law enforcement seeks at least $27 billion in class action status for survivors. At least 2 other lawsuits have been filed against Daniel Defense. In Uvalde, community members planned a vigil to remember those killed. Other events include a bell ringing and butterfly release at the local church. All that's cute and wonderful and sweet. You don't need hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. As we mark this solemn day, may we pray for those we lost, their loved ones, and all those who were wounded. President Joe Biden said in a letter to the community, surprised he knew it was even something that happened. This story has been updated to say that the gunman killed 19 students and 2 teachers. I think that's probably it. That's it. What do you guys think? I mean, I know who's at fault. It was the gunman. Number 1. Second at fault, the people that raised the gunman. To a degree, you can't fully blame them, but you have to start asking questions. Where were the parents? What were the parents teaching? How did the parents feel about this 18-year-old buying an AR-style gun? To be fair, there's nothing wrong with an AR-style gun. It is not an assault rifle. It is not an assault weapon, as there is no such thing as an assault weapon. Unless it's a weapon you assault someone with. A shovel can be a tool or an assault weapon. If I use it to dig a hole, it's a tool. If I use it to club you over the head to then bury you in that hole, it is now an assault weapon. You with me? So, nothing wrong with AR style stuff. I know that's the boogeyman for these guys, but maybe the parents go, why Why are you buying that? And you think he bought two of them and like 300 and something rounds of ammunition in a short period of time. If I was a parent, I would be asking a lot of questions. Now, I know they're 18, technically an adult and everything. I get it. But if they're living in my house, they still live under my roof. My roof, my rules, whatever, right? My child, who may or may not move out when she's 18 because I don't want to let her go. And unfortunately, right now, she doesn't want to go either. Anyway, she's my princess. Even if she's 18, if she lives in my house, she lives by my rules. Now, she has more freedoms because she's 18, and I trust my daughter because I have raised my daughter to the best of my ability. She knows where my guns are. She hasn't been down to the range to use them yet and learn more and more about them, but she knows to stay away from them. But she also is going to learn how to use them in the event she ever has to. If someone rolls up in my house and me and our pit bull jump up and sprint into action and I don't have time to grab my gun, her and mom are going to know what to do. That's the way it should be, in my humble yet accurate opinion, as opposed to making it some scary boogeyman kind of thing. But I don't agree with this whole let's sue everybody because some maniac had some kind of relation with these people. And let's make a lot of money off of this, off the death of our children, our grandchildren, our whoever it may be, our mom or dad, you know, if it was a teacher that was killed. As tragic as it all is, this doesn't impact anybody like it ought to, in my opinion. Again, maybe something comes out later and I go like, oh, these are some really crappy ads, Daniel Defense. You should never have put these out. I just can't see it. I just can't imagine that they would have done something like that, right? So I completely disagree with the lawsuits. I completely disagree with them going after all of them the way they are. I have zero problem with them going after law enforcement. That's who I would say is probably the third to blame for it going down like it did. Law enforcement should have jumped into action. From my understanding, should have jumped into action a lot sooner, taken care of business, boom, bam, done, whatever. Yes, maybe one of them would have died as far as, like the children of the teachers or whatever that already died. Like, we know now how many died. And yes, they probably couldn't have saved all of them. But imagine how many more they could have saved had they jumped into action sooner. So I do blame them for the reaction to it. But there really is truly only one person to blame for it. It's the shooter. 100%. Anybody else is secondary at best. And I just don't see Instagram, Meta, all those guys, Call of Duty, Daniel Defense, having any weight to it. I just don't. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Would love to hear what you guys think. I just don't see it. I don't see it. But hey, look, I hadn't talked to you guys in a while about this. And with it being a short show, I figure I go ahead and bust it out. Coffee Brand Coffee, fantastic company. They serve people who are sick of the gimmicky companies who offer marketing in place of truly great, fresh, roasted coffee. The fulfillment and roasting facilities are located right here in the United States. Each purchase is hand roasted to order. That means they wait until they receive your order before they fire up the roasters. And lastly, it's just delicious. You see here, I got me some Coffee Brand Coffee. I actually just ordered some of the cocoa, I think it's the silky hot chocolate or whatever, to give that a shot. But I'm a coffee drinker. I enjoy it very, very much. It's comparable price-wise to everything else that's out there. That's the mail order stuff, but they're legit. I absolutely enjoy those guys. But if you are interested in giving them a shot, go to coffeebrandcoffee.com. You can use the link in the description below. It is my personal link. And then use discount code Mayhem. You're going to get 5% off anything that's in there. From my understanding, that's anything. And if they are running a promotion, just make sure you're using the link below. That'll help us out here at the channel. And then that'll get you the prime biggest discount they offer. All right. So go check those guys out. I really enjoy them, really like them, and I think you will too. Well, guys, that's the show. Like I said, it was going to be a short one. Let's see what we're looking at. Yeah, pretty short show this week. Just two topics, really. Remember that we will have our weekly long form show up every Friday at 10 a.m. As per usual schedule, unless something changes, we'll also be cutting these segments into smaller bite-sized portions that we do call the morning nuggets and release throughout the week. There are most definitely more reaction videos coming out. I enjoy making them, and clearly you guys enjoy watching them. So I'll be doing more of those. Be on the lookout for them. And don't forget, I've set that goal of 100 subscribers on YouTube, 25 followers on Rumble by Monday, June 3rd, my 40th birthday. I will consider that a personal birthday gift to me and a favor. If we can get there, that would be great. If not, it's not the end of the world. I'm not, trying to be Mr. Beast or anything like that. And I don't get monetized at 100 subscribers. So it's not like this huge milestone, but it's big, 100 subscribers. Going from trying to get 20 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was to 100 now. That's awesome. And that's because of you guys. You guys are killing it and showing me some love. And I want to show you some love and cover what you like. I appreciate you guys so much. So if you stay with me this far, please make sure to hit the like button below, subscribe, follow, and if you think other people need to hear it, hit that share button below, and we will see you next week.
I had to do a rough show last week. Had to do a country western bar on the wrong night too. Hang a nigga night. But thank God I don't have no neck. He's pretty pissed at me. Get his fat ass out of here. He ain't got no fucking neck. All he can do is choke his chin.